Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and today I'm joined by regular co-host Mr.
Andy Conduit Tanner. Hello, Ben. Hello, everybody. You all right?
Hello there, hi there, and another host with a double-barreled surname. I feel a little bit left out. We're joined by a very special returning guest, Alice Taylor Matthews, is a comedian, lifelong horror fan with an improvised D&D show, Tales of Adventure at Bristol Improv Theatre. Welcome back to the show, Alice. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, lots of energy
Hello
there.
again.
Hello.
Yeah, that was a bit too much energy.
Hello
Wasn't it?
there. No, I liked it. It's good. Pep us all up. This is maybe, what are we saying? Fifth or sixth time on the show?
Yeah.
Maybe fifth?
Yeah.
I think fifth. So we've done some real classics. We've done Basket Case, we've done Pieces, Army of Darkness, and now, well, this is a film that we've been discussing for a while, saying we've got to do an episode on this, and finally we just put it in the diary. What's the worst that can happen? Invite an awesome guest, and it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, I feel this one's been coming up increasingly now in the zeitgeist. Obviously, Poor Things I think has accelerated it. But if anyone thinks and wants to accuse of chasing trends, we've wanted to do this since before Poor Things came out. So get out of it.
Yeah, we're not trend chasers. I mean, we don't make the trends either, do we, Andy? We don't claim to. But,
No.
we're always there, coasting along the wave.
You're trend adjacent.
Yeah, we're trend adjacent. It's coincidental that a lot of people are talking about it. It's not on purpose. We wanted to cover, let's face it, in the grand scheme of things, fairly niche 1990 horror movie because it's brilliant, not because anything to do with parallels with a recently very popular film.
Yeah. Has everybody seen recently popular film, not Frankenhooker?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody
I saw it at a film festival before it came out.
Did
Very
you?
fancy.
Yeah.
Incredibly fancy. Did everybody enjoy it?
I did. I'm studying child development and early child development stages at the moment, and for me it was basically that. I've seen a couple of people's different readings and things, but studying child development and like the different stages and the way she progresses was just very funny. I recommended it to all of my peers on my course.
That's good. What do you think? What's the feedback been so far?
Mostly people have loved it. In fact, someone on my course, their friend is the costume designer. So they're doing very well for themselves.
God,
wonderful.
Amazing costumes in that film.
The phone's ringing off the hook these days.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was a huge fan of it. I was really hyped to go and see it, and it didn't let me down. It was a very, very bizarre film, but in the best possible way. Andy, you seen it as well?
I have seen it. It's good. A lot of my friends locally here, my wife included, who've read the book, absolutely outraged that they've taken away the fact that it's set in Scotland in real life and sort of made it ambiguous London. The locals around here not very happy. But apart from that, it's a good and interesting film. But the big question is that we'll pose, well, you can answer it now or you can answer it later. Is it better or worse than Frankenhooker?
I mean, I guess we'll answer it later. We will answer it on the way, but I'm pretty sure we're all big fans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd only seen it for the first time, like just a few years ago, off the back of like the Basket Case, Brain Damage, and other Frank Henenlotter movie watches. So it's fairly new to me. Has everybody seen it like quite a long time ago?
That was a similar way.
Recent one?
That was a similar way to I watched it. It was the last Frank Henenlotter film that I saw of his.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was the last one I saw of his as well. Yeah, and for me, like I think all of the films are great, but something about this just elevated it beyond just a sort of fun, trashy, silly movie, which they all are. That sounds like I'm slating it. I'm not.
That's his thing.
Yeah, but something about this just elevated it just one step further. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the script. The script is like very, very tight and funny, to the point where like I just found myself just remembering stuff when I was watching it again and being like, oh yeah, that is really It's really great. And for a film that's like what? It is 90 minutes long, or just slightly less. It really
85 or
does.
something.
It really flies along.
It
Like
flies by, doesn't it?
by the time it ends, I'm like, it feels like we're kind of ending. It feels like, and again, it's a great film. It's really really good. But I feel like it kind of ends at a point which could be a start of a second act or a third act.
Yeah.
Very easily we could have this character suddenly having self-awareness, or even have a longer section where the titular Frankenhooker is more
Are you using titular sense in a pun?
I guess I am, yeah.
If you want.
I guess I am. I completely forgot about purple areolas as well. And and when that moment happened, I was like, I mean, it's a fantastic look, including like a tick with a marker pen on your arse as well.
Yeah.
That's also a great look.
For me, it's like, even aside there's masses of physical comedy in here as well, but there's just something wonderful about the dialogue in this movie, even in scenes that are played fairly straight. Like, I just found myself laughing out loud at little bits, like when our main character's watching back the news footage of the day that his girlfriend died, and the newspaper reporter comes to his house, and it's like, can I just leave people alone with their grief, please? Come on. I loved it. I found myself really laughing out loud, and bits later on where he's like, oh, the devil's music. It's just
I think one of my favorite lines is quite early on. He gives us he's like, I'm falling apart, I'm going mental, and his mum's like, want a sandwich? I just find do you want a sandwich really funny.
I do love a sandwich. There are so many moments in this film that where I go, surely not, and then it happens. It all pans out in front of your face, and I feel like I would love to watch it with someone who's like never seen a film like that before, or just to see the disbelief on their face, or maybe with someone who's really like squeamish or conservative, for example. I don't know. We're watching a film. Should we stick Frankenhooker on? What do you reckon? Yeah.
I feel
Anytime.
already like just the title of the film, for
Is
someone who doesn't know what to
Is
expect.
George Rustinia's wife still alive? Is she still knocking about? Invite her around.
What's her name?
Invite her
Martha.
in.
Get her in.
Barbara Bush.
Barbara Bush. That's it.
Barbara Bush.
Is it?
She would. I mean, if she's not dead, it would.
She's got big Barbara vibes, and I think she's still alive.
I think she's still. Well, if she wasn't alive,
you can confirm.
If she was still alive, then this would definitely finish her off, without a doubt. This would be the end. Well, I'd love to.
Yeah, but that's what I feel like. This film is one that would be. I think it gets a reaction from people when you just tell them the title. Like, I told my wife when I said, "Oh, I'm off to watch my horror hangout film for this week." Oh yeah, what are you watching this week? Frankenhooker. Yeah. You what, mate?
Like, you what, mate?
But I think like immediately, as soon as you get something, it conjures certain images, and then you watch it, and I think it's a whole new set. I think it's very hard to fully expect what you're going to get until you've actually seen this movie. I was delighted.
100%. And also the exploding hookers smoke super crack sequence. It may be one of my favorite scenes ever in film, mainly because you go through so many emotions in it, where you're just like, and again, of course, we're going to get into it, yes, but you're like, surely he's not going to stoop this low, is he? He's not going to stoop this low as to mass murder. And then suddenly the regret, he's going back on his plan, but no, they've got the super crack. He's pinned down. It is just, I go through so many emotions, and then the hookers start to explode. I'm only referring to them as hookers because that is in the title. You know, I'll be much more respectful when we.
I hope if you have like a trail for this, it's just, and then the hookers start to explode.
And then the hookers start to bloody explode.
Yeah, the hookers start to explode, and underneath you'll get one of the little title bars like Ben Errington, famous misogynist, been taken out of context.
Famous misogynist. And just to end my discussion on that, when the severed head flies at the pimp's head, it's got the best sound effect ever as well when it hits him. It's brilliant. But yeah, we will get into that and my love for that scene. Should I talk about horror news?
Tell us a little bit of horror news,
yeah.
please, Ben.
Horror news for the week. I don't
We'll
know.
gather round.
This is kind of horror adjacent, but did anybody see the picture, the first look of Bill Skarsgård as the Crow in the remake of The Crow?
I literally saw it about half an hour before joining you guys.
Yeah, it was.
That'd be about when I saw it too.
It's fresh off the what? Fresh off the press.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures and I've seen the initial internet reaction, which, as with many things, people going, "Well, I don't really like it."
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people saying it gives Jared Leto Joker vibes, which I guess, but then also, I mean,
they're both very skinny.
Yeah, but they're also it's both very similar looking characters anyway, like Joker and the Crow, but could just buy white paint and makeup, and I guess a sort of a trench. Yeah, and a trench coat.
Have you guys?
Sorry, go on.
Have you guys seen The Crow recently?
Yeah, I reckon maybe. Yeah, I've seen it fairly recently. Maybe like
I watched it during. Do you guys remember COVID? I watched it during lockdown, and I was amazed at actually how much it stands up, how funny it is.
Yeah,
and like
it's great.
Just generally how much of a good time it is.
Yeah, I thought it was just like one of those
I thought it was just like one of those teen films, but no, it stands up really, really well. It's really funny.
For a film in which a young man in love is murdered by gangland criminals at the beginning, actually, laugh a minute. It's a great time.
It is funny.
It is funny. Yeah, and it really does hold up. Like, it's a really stylish film. It's I mean, it is a bit melodramatic, but in the best possible way, Yeah, it does hold up. But yeah, so a new version, why not? What has it been, like 30 years? So Bill Skarsgård.
The mistake you're making there is that 1990 is only 10 years ago.
Oh yeah,
sorry. Never hear anything else.
Yeah, didn't mean to get that wrong. Sorry, mate. So he's got like some sort of Bill Skarsgård's got some sort of modern mullet haircut. If you could pull it off, then why not? So interesting to see what they're going to do. Who's directing this? Do we know? Do you know who's directing this?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, Rupert Sanders. Sweet. Ooh,
I love that guy. I don't know
who that is. Okay, but let's see what happens. I'll definitely check it out. Why the hell not? In terms
anything
of
can be good, Ben.
Anything can be good. Of course it can. A couple of new trailers. There's a trailer for a movie called The Watchers, which is the new horror movie from M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. Can you believe it?
That's a twist.
That is a twist.
M. Night Shyamalan thinks I know where he's going, and then *S daughter.
Yeah.
From this. No, I'm not going to say that.
From the sea. What were you going to say? From the.
I was going to say from loins. The semen of M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, so you were going straight for semen. I was going to say loins, seed. You've gone from his jizz.
Seed. Yeah, that's better. From the jizz.
From the jizz of M. Night Shyamalan.
And then comes a new horror director.
That's worse. I was like, the title would be a bit jizzy as well. From the jizz of no, that is too much.
Did you guys see his last movie? Was it Knock at the Cabin Door? Knock at the Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin. Yeah.
We did an episode on it.
Yeah, the twist of that being there was no twist.
The twist of that being that
I guess.
Yeah.
Was
the
it just
wasn't,
because...
then you should have believed it all along. What's led you to doubt everything I do all these years?
That movie I find unintentionally hilarious as well. Me and my friend saw it in the cinema, and because we've got kids, we don't get to go out that much, and we decided we'd watch it. And there's a line in that movie which is, you know what they say? If you can make eggs, you can make anything. No, if you can make eggs, you can do anything. It's like, no one says that. That's not a saying. So if you can make eggs, there's loads of things you can't do. What are you talking about?
Oh, you've just made some lovely eggs, and I drive this forklift.
Brain surgery.
That's a big jump. Bloody brain surgery.
Do a backflip.
You said if you could make eggs, you could do anything.
It's time for parkour.
That is a weird saying.
Surgery while doing parkour.
Yeah.
So, this film has got who's it got in it? It's got someone in it. So I'm not sure in terms of. So Ashana Shyamalan, her name is. We shouldn't refer to her as M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. No. She can step out of the shadow of M. Night Shyamalan, Although, do you reckon he was a very hands-on dad when he was there, just going, don't do that? And cut.
Like
Don't
a
say
dad
it
helping a
that.
school kid with a project. Like, okay, I'm just going to show you for this shot, and then you'll be here. You'll be holding the edge of the camera, so you're sort of doing it. You're sort of doing it. It's okay.
Your fingers on it. Your fingers on it.
So this
Tell
film
you
is
what, you write the label.
Right. What is the film about?
The film is about it's a fantasy horror film that explores the story of a young artist who gets stranded in a forest in Western Ireland and must face the horrors that lurk in the wilderness. And Dakota Fanning is the actress I was trying to remember.
I thought you were saying the horrors that are in the forest and Dakota Fanning.
Dakota Fanning is in.
Too.
She's in the forest as well.
In the forest. They've released
terrified.
her.
Yeah. Apart from that, I guess everything's a little bit under wraps. But yeah, interesting to see what will come of that. And there's also a trailer for a film called I Saw the TV Glow. Have you heard a new A24 horror movie? No.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know very much about it apart from a couple of little early details.
Yeah. Apparently it pays homage to Twin Peaks, to late night Nickelodeon 90s television. It follows some teens who bond over their shared love of a scary television show, but the boundary between TV and reality begins to blur after it's mysteriously cancelled. It's been cancelled, but not in my brain. Something like that. Justice Smith and Bridget Lundy Payne star, and it's from the second feature from the director of We're All Going to the World's Fair. I don't know if anybody saw that. A very lo-fi, almost like found footage.
Sounds like a good time. I'll watch that.
Yeah, I was interested in We're All Going to the World's Fair. Like, not perfect, but I think with a load of interesting ideas in there. So I'd love to see what they do with like a slightly bigger budget, a different, new idea.
Yeah.
Is that which Smith is it? It's not. It's Justice Smith, as in from Detective Pikachu, not Jaden Smith, as in from the jizz of Will Smith.
The Karate Kid himself, Justice Smith. It is who in like Jurassic World and stuff.
Yeah, Jurassic World, Detective Pikachu, big hitter.
Oh yeah, Detective Pikachu. That's correct. And the last piece of news I've got is there's a Paranormal Activity video game that has been announced from the makers of the Mortuary Assistant. Will feature found footage style gameplay as well as a haunt system, which dynamically changes the types of scares that unfold based on the player's actions. And there's a very, very brief teaser, but there's not much going on. It kind of just looks like a lot of logos and stuff.
Yeah, Toby, add it again.
Toby, the free-toed lad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't nick his photos out of the loft. He'll set your house on fire.
Human. I wonder if the problematic boyfriend is in it. What do you reckon?
Oh, what? Famous day trader. What was his name? Micah.
Micah. That's right. You get his name wrong. He's a twat.
Glad he got thrown across that bedroom.
Good. Yeah, I mean that's it for horror. I mean, there was quite a few things, but is it any other horror news at all, Andy?
So one little bit of a news update, Ben, a developing story. So then we talked the other week. Stephen King had been on the wasteland that is Twitter, saying, "Hey, this Salem's Lot film. Don't know why they haven't released it at Warner Brothers. Not another tax write-off, is it? Because I think it was all right, you know." It is coming out now. It's coming out on Paramount Plus. I think
that's the power of the king.
Yeah,
he can do that.
The kingmaker himself.
They pretty much had it in the bin until he took to Twitter and then he went, "You know what? Actually, we better release this. We can't get away with doing."
He's always saving movies, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's always coming in there, going, "Do you know what? Evil Dead. It's a good movie."
Yeah, actually, Stephen King. If you can't take his word for it, whose can you take? So then you get stuck in there. And I know he does a lot of good stuff with like people early in their filmmaking careers as well, where he just say, "Want the rights to this book, do you? Quid to you, mate."
Yeah, it's $1, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want the right?
I heard that. I don't know if that was a rumor like my brother had made up, because he used to make up film rumors all the time and I didn't know what was real. He told me the paramedics in Return of the Living Dead were the singers Hall & Oates, and I was like, yeah, sure. They look like Hall & Oates.
That's a fun. I mean, you say making up rumors, but it's just outright blatant lies.
Yeah.
I've heard a rumor over here that this is what's got. Yeah,
These guys,
I
it was
feel
Hall
like
and Oates.
I hate it when you see something like that on Twitter where someone goes, "Did you know that in this film, the very early career of," and then it will list some real big name, and then you'll see the screenshot and you go, "It's not them. What are you playing at?" It's got like 100,000 likes. Everyone commenting, going, "Oh, I never knew this." Prince was in, I don't know, Chinatown. I don't know.
As much as that like is one, at least you can get it debunked fairly quick. In the era that we were all growing up, this was the time when you'd have known someone who at least, just wasn't at school for a week, and then they'd come back and say, "Tell you what, I've been to America and I've seen Gremlins 3 over there." And it's already out, and Gizmo actually turns into one of the Gremlins, but he's still good, and he eats all the other genuine lie that a kid at my school told me, and he defeats the bad Gremlins by eating them.
Was he a screenwriter now?
No,
I've told you a story about that dodgy
sure
bloke in the dodgy DVD selling bloke in the pub who was like, "You want to get a copy of Indiana Jones 4, which has just been announced? I could get it for you. I'll get it for you by next week." I was like, "It ain't even been made yet, mate. What are you on about?" Well,
Do you know
I
what? When I went to
people."
Nepal, there was a guy selling DVDs, and there was loads of DVDs, and I was like, "Wow, these DVDs haven't even come out or been announced yet." And my husband was like, "Yeah, they're fake." I was like, "Oh, okay."
How's this guy in the pool got hold of this? How's he got hold?
His dad works at Nintendo. That's how he's getting them.
Yeah.
Got all the films. Oh, that does suck though. See, that just goes to show that you just a kind soul who believes in people.
I just believe people.
You just
If
think, why would they
someone
lie?
tells me Hall and Oates are in a zombie movie, I'm going to believe them.
Yeah.
What reason have you got to doubt your own brother?
Exactly.
Actually, this was the evidence was there all along.
Okay. I guess the next we should do what we've been watching. Last 7 days or so. I guess Alice, you've not been on the show for a while, so anything you've seen at all recently, horror, Jason, that you wanted to recommend?
Not really. I've because I'm doing a master. I'm doing a master's. I've been really focusing on that. But I did just finish watching season 2 of Perry Mason, which they are not making any more of. Sad. But that was good.
Good music as well.
Why aren't they making any more?
It's not related to horror in any way, or maybe the horrors of the justice system.
Yeah. You need a real hero to face those demons down.
Biggest horrors of them all.
But yeah, I don't think I've seen anything in ages.
Well, it's a perfect opportunity to rewatch Frankenhooker then.
Yeah, I did. I rewatched it and that was nice.
Andy, have you seen anything at all?
You know what, Ben? I've been doing something very different in terms of a time eating activity than doing a master's. Still very important though. It's my wife's birthday last week, so I was busy doing that, celebrating, make sure we can remain married and the like. So that's what I've been doing. So not very much, but one little extra bit. I've been doing some. This is how I'll build up on intellectual credibility to only semi-challenge Alice's masters. But after watching the aforementioned movie, Poor Things, I've been reading one of the author's other books. It's called Lanark, and it is quite a weighty tome, so I've got some way to go in it yet. But it is like a really surreal, almost Dante-esque vision of hell, except it's in like a sort of bleak version of Scotland, and it features this character in the early parts of the book, like he's in quite a bleak, sunless city, and all these people have these afflictions. They're almost, it's never made clear whether it's metaphorical or if it's real. So he has a problem he has, which is like called dragon skin, where his skin is toughening up and then his arm is actually mutating into actually like a scaly clawed arm. And there's another woman who he meets in one of the early chapters who has like mouths all over her body that say like disparaging things to people as they go past.
God.
And
wow.
And it appears to be potential spoilers if I get this right, but it may be that he's actually already in hell because he's gone through a mouth that was in the floor and then woken up in a hospital, and it's all very surreal. Definitely invites horror imagery. We'll see how it continues to progress. Big thick book. I've got a lot to work through though. But yeah, that's the only real thing.
How many pages is that?
Oh, like I've not even looked at the last page. I feel like it's a good 600-er.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I'm going on holiday in May, and I'm going to read a book. That's my goal for my holiday, but it's only 10 days, and I will have the kids, so I'm looking at for like a 300-page book.
I reckon it's a bit
Nonsense.
it's a bit hefty than that,
Probably.
but I'd recommend it from what I've read so far. I'm only a little way in, but it's
You
good.
split
So that's maybe
split it in
offset a
two
lack of.
halves.
Oh, there you go. You could just get half of it, Alice, if it's split in two.
Yeah.
I'll just read every other page.
Yeah, you get the gist of it.
The story of this is something missing. I've not seen loads. I've just been playing some games mainly, but I did start watching. So there's a new like horror focused TV channel. Don't know if you guys have heard of it. Called, I say new, it might have been out for a while, but I've only really just recently become aware of it. NYX TV. I know they were involved in Fright Fest a little bit. And I know some of the organizers of Fright Fest like appear on the channel, like introducing things.
Okay.
But you can get it. It's on Freeview, and I got it through like the Roku app. But basically, it shows just some. I used to love watching a horror channel because I used to love just thinking, right, whatever's on, I'm gonna just watch a bit of it. Doesn't even matter if I don't see the whole film, which I usually stand dead against. But for some reason, because it was on the TV channel, I thought, yeah, let's do it. So, but I did manage to catch a whole film. I watched Countess Dracula, a Hammer horror film. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Countess Dracula.
Countess Dracula. So all the Dracula you know, but this time a woman.
I'd say so, but it's really void of like anything even remotely vampiric. I guess like there's someone having a bath in a load of blood at one point, and that's quite vampire-like. But apart from that, it's just like some old lady who's clearly sucking people off, not that way, sucking people's blood out, and getting young. It was pretty mad. But I did like on the channel yesterday was like The Descent. They've got loads of Elvira stuff and other things. It seems really, really cool and interesting. And it shows stuff all day long. Sorry, go on.
You know when vampires suck people's blood to get young, do you ever feel like they might bend down to get something and their back goes a bit and they're like, oh, better pop down the tavern and just
I better have a bloody
back out. I'm beginning to creak.
God damn. Yeah.
Because it's always depicted of like wanting to look young and beautiful, but I bet loads of vampires are just like, my back really hurts.
Yeah.
My back's absolutely killing me.
Yeah, I just don't want my joints to ache. But I'll tell you what, vampires not very good at keeping up a routine. If they just regularly had a little bit of blood, they wouldn't have to go right to desiccated corpse that they need to completely replenish themselves.
Yeah, why do they
like
do
me
that?
and moisturizing? You wait until you're really rancid.
I mean, but how many glasses of water have you had today?
I'm gonna say a lot. Look at that.
Is it none?
Only two, but look at the size of it.
Jesus.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Is that really big, or have you just held it close to the camera?
No, it was as
not
big
the
as
first
my
time
face.
you've been
And
asked
if you've met me in time in real life, Ben, you know I've got massive moon-sized head. So this is a massive water.
A massive. Right. Well, there we go. But yeah, I recommend it. It feels like a nice replacement for the horror channel. And it shows stuff all day long. So like during the day, it's showing like some sort of animated anthology show.
Okay.
Was there like an animated version of Tales from the Crypt? Something like that? I don't think it's that, but something similar.
There was an animated episode. In fact, the last episode of Tales from the Crypt is animated, isn't it?
Okay.
They did. They did like a kids version. It was like Tales from the Crypt Keeper, and it was like a fully animated
You're right, actually,
one.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was that called, Ben? So Nix TV. So NYX TV.
Yeah, NYX TV. And I've just got it through like Roku. But you can.
Okay.
It's on Freeview and on a few other things. If you try and find it on Twitter, then it's got all the details there of everything. But yeah,
because the horror channel didn't cease to exist, right? It just pivoted to become legend, so it can show non-horror related stuff as well.
Is that what happened?
I think so.
I don't know.
That is sad. I mean, I don't have any time to watch TV, so I'm part of the problem with it not running, I guess. But
I want it to be there in case I ever did have time.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched TV in months, but I feel like it should still be there.
Yeah. Waiting for you.
There's something just magical about waiting for a film to start, and then like after 20 minutes going, oh, a little cup of tea break, little wee break with the adverts. Don't know why. I guess it's a bit nostalgic. But yeah, check it out if you can. That's pretty much it for me anyway. Apart from film of week,
which of course is,
and it's about damn time too. It is Frankenhooker, which is a 1990 American black comedy horror film directed by Frank Henenlotter, and it says loosely inspired by Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein. Loosely? Excuse me? It's pretty much exactly the same, all right? Beat for beat. A medical student sets out to recreate his decapitated fiancée by building her a new body made of Manhattan street prostitutes. It stars James Lorinz, Patty Mullen, Joanne Ritchie, loads of people here. Joseph Gonzalez as Zorro the Pimp. Great stuff. In terms of ratings, we've got 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 60% Rotten Tomatoes audience score, 58% Rotten Tomatoes critic score, 3.4 on Letterboxd, and some choice Letterboxd reviews. Ian West says, the perfect mixture of comedic filth, super crack, exploding hookers, and Mary Shelley. Hysterics, gross, absurd, and 100% Henenlotter. 4.5 stars. Dallas France says, a film about what it takes for any long-term relationship to survive, constant reinvention, meticulous attention to your partner's needs, and super crack. 3.5 stars. If you haven't seen this and you want to find out why we keep mentioning super crack. Joe Lynch. Is that Joe Lynch? It must be. A goofier side of Henenlotter that still revels in 80s sleazecore, has a lighter, less dangerous touch than his previous films. 3 stars. And a circus rat. How's a circus rat got hold of Letterboxd? Says, how would you even begin to explain this to Mary Shelley? 3.5 stars. I'd like to try.
I think Mary Shelley be into it. We learned more so than we might have learned before when we did Gothic a few weeks ago. Husband was into some fucked up stuff with his mate. So
Oh yeah, of course.
She'd probably roll with it, I reckon.
She'd probably go, this is a right laugh. This is way less insane than that weekend I spent
at what's his chop's house?
What is his chops?
Lord
Darcy?
Tennyson.
Someone. And what's his name in a corset as well.
Oh yeah, Dr. Palagari.
Beautiful stuff. So of course we wanted to cover this for a while, and obviously off the back of watching Basket Case, I went on a bit of a Henenlotter journey, which culminated in this film. That was a few years ago now, though. So, everyone's big fans of Frankenhooker. Am I correct?
Yeah.
There's a little Belial badge that Alice is wearing.
I've got I don't have a Frankenhooker badge, but I've got Belial from Basket Case.
If anyone wants to gift Alice any more badges and you're out there and you've got a Frankenhooker badge, do send them in. We'll get a PO box, I guess.
Exactly. But yeah, I think with Henenlotter, you kind of know what to expect, but I feel like this just takes it that one step further. And one of those reviews which said it's a little bit more on the carefree, silly side than Basket Case and Brain Damage, I guess. A slightly less dangerous touch, where it feels like there aren't many stakes, even though, of course, life and death is still on the cards. The stakes still feel quite low, and it's just a good
There's
time,
no
right?
one walking barefoot through New York in the 80s in this movie, which is the most dangerous thing in Basket Case.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, no, there's not. But the tagline, A Terrifying Tale of Sluts and Bolts, is 10 out of 10. There's nothing to rival that, right?
And right out of the park, they're, smashing it.
Yeah.
They're absolutely
Can't argue with good pun work. If our culture has brought anything to the world, it's an appreciation of puns. And this is one of the good ones.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of Patty Mullen's performance as well, it's note perfect because she shows the pre Frankenhooker stuff. The fact it's an absolute transformation, isn't it?
I assume everyone who's listening to this has seen it, and if they haven't, they should pause it and watch it. But
Please.
The movie opens, not exactly opens, but when we're introduced to her, she is wearing one of the worst fat suits I've ever seen.
Oh, what? Is she?
Yeah.
Wait. So what are they doing? They're trying to say
Because she sort of says in the opening scene, like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what diets I take or whatever. I don't know, but Jeffrey even stapled my stomach, and I'm just so fat." And then she's just in a big giant dress.
Jeffrey stapled my stomach, because Jeffrey is like a scientist, but like what we say, like a freelance scientist.
He now works for an electrician company or something like that.
Yeah, he works for the
electrics.
He works for like the electricity board, having been kicked out of 3 medical schools.
Yeah, and
It says he specializes in bioelectricity. So I think if anything, and you're gonna die by getting obliterated by a lawnmower, it's good that your boyfriend's.
I do love the opening, because the very opening is just the weird like brain thing of an eye, and has he done that? Is this an eye that has formed in a brain, or has he put a brain in an eye? Because I don't know if you guys have ever like watched, I don't know, any medical dramas, but the eye is not generally a part of the brain.
Connected directly, sort of embedded in a brain.
And he's just doing it at the dinner table as well.
I love
at his in-laws' house.
Yeah, I love how nonchalant everyone is about it. It's just like, oh yeah, that's Jeffrey.
I mean, he is 100% unhinged, mentally unwell and unhinged, even before the tragedy.
Yeah.
From the get-go, yeah. I mean, he's using his scientific capabilities to staple his girlfriend's stomach closed. Well, not closed, but
just smaller.
Just smaller, that's what I meant. But to what end? Does she ask for that? Has he suggested it? What's going on?
She said like, oh, like she's trying to lose weight. In the brief scene we see before she gets absolutely diced by a makeshift automated lawnmower, she talks about, and doesn't her mom be like, say something to her like, oh, maybe don't have.
Yeah, she's like, lay off the pretzels. Don't do that.
She loves pretzels as well.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I don't know what I went right over my head. That did. So he's about to marry his fiancée Elizabeth, having a birthday party as Elizabeth's dad, and he gets presented with an automatic lawnmower as a gift.
I just love that. It's like an episode of Casualty, isn't it? Like it's you're seeing all the setup, except there is someone like you, Ben, as a child watching the telly, shouting,
"Don't stand in front of it!"
Yeah, literally, Jeffrey is shouting, "Don't stand in front of that!" He's just shouting as loud as he can. Don't stand in front of the lawnmower. No, everyone just ignores him. She demonstrates the lawnmower and is minced within the first 5 minutes of the film.
But like all of her's minced, like, because I mean, I've never had a lawnmower accident. But I imagine like whatever appendage got caught in it would just get minced, right? But the whole of her just seems to get minced.
What I'm imagining is that like a starfish is holding she's like, and it just goes through the torso and maybe stops at the head, because he's got the head through like arms, legs, head,
and of course,
saved, torso gone.
It is gruesome, but it does make local news as well. I'm assuming local news, not nationwide news. Just like a woman has been obliterated, and it is a really good description of what happened to her. Do they call her a tossed human salad or something similar?
Yeah, tossed like a human, like absolutely tossed like a salad. But like the puns in that news report come thick and fast. That is just one of several that they throw over here. Like the onlookers at the barbecue were showered with her personality.
Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Wow. And of course, the story just develops even further because her head has gone missing. So now an extra part of the story is that there's potentially some sort of decapitated head thief milling about as well.
I just love this put upon like the chief of police or whatever, just gonna.
Oh, he's amazing. Why hasn't he had a career? I want to see him and stuff.
I feel like all of these films together, though, between this and it's not like the easiest comparison to make is like a Trauma, right? Where you have like your Traumaville setting with all these things. I feel like this series of films, so your Frankenhookers, your Brain Damages, your Basket Cases, in another world they could all be connected, and you could have characters like the put upon police sergeant who's like, It's
Mm.
like doing a jigsaw, and all some of the pieces. It's going to take us a while to even know which bits are missing. And you could see these
Yeah.
characters pop up again, and they aren't explicitly done like that, but you could, and I'd be
Mhm.
here for it if someone was to give me a connected world of these films. Love it. Give me as
100%,
many
yeah.
as you care to make.
It would be great. Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, obviously
Just out of
there.
interest,
Yes.
did you guys know that I mean, sorry if this spoils any trivia for later, but did you know that Frankenhooker was shot first and then 3 weeks later they shot Basket Case 2?
Oh right. No, I didn't know that.
That's why
Wow.
they both came out 1990. Yeah, it was when he was asked, he was like, what the studios were like, what ideas you got then? And he was like, Frankenhooker, or I think it wasn't called Frankenhooker at first. He was like, this movie, and they came to the title later. And he was like, what else you got? And he was like, well, Basket Case 2 is something I really like to do. And they were like, well, what do you want to do then? And he was like, why not both? So why not
Why not
both?
both back to back?
And I mean,
About 3 weeks. So a lot of the crew is the same crew.
Yeah, that
They
makes
had 3 weeks
sense,
off
doesn't it?
and then they
Just stay
filmed
on.
Basket Case 2. Yeah.
and
Just stay
while we're
on.
doing a bit of trivia, did you know that some of those human parts that get sprayed, they're actually the arms and legs of rap duo Criss Cross in an early film role?
Is this
What-
like Hall
what's
and
that?
Oates? Is this what's happening?
Yeah. Direct from your brother, he's just
No way,
messaged me
it's not
that,
ever
that bit
said.
of news. I know he's the go-to source for film trivia.
It cost 1.5 million, which was Henenlotter's most expensive film at the time. I'm not just flying in there with trivia
I
because
thought
you
it
guys have
cost
done that.
2.5 million.
Oh, wow.
Was it?
I mean,
I'm just spooked.
let's not say anybody's wrong. Let's just say let's get to the bottom of it. Uh, and also, and obviously, we've heard about Bill Murray's quote. Apparently, he's a big fan of this film. He publicly endorsed it around about the time of the release as well. I think he said something along the lines of, "If you see one movie this year, make sure you see Frankenhooker." And everyone said,
Yeah.
"All right, Bill."
I'd go with that. You could say that every
With
year.
Not that it's important. I don't need to be right. And Wikipedia is not the fountain of all knowledge, but it does say 2.5 million on Wikipedia.
Oh, it does. On IMDb, it says 1.5. So let's not make it a head-to-head between me and you,
Well,
Alex.
do you know what? I beat
Let's
the
make
I
it.
beat the creator of IMDb in a film quiz once. So what does that guy know?
Oh,
Got
did
him.
you? Why is that not on your
Yes, smashed
Why is
it.
that not on your Twitter bio?
Yeah, he was from Bristol.
Bristol, yeah,
Before
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely pummeled him.
Yeah.
Did
Film
you?
trivia should be like a championship belt. Like you should, once you've got it, you have to beat you to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the hardcore championship belt as well. It's always on the line, 24/7.
You run up to someone in the street and ask them a film trivia question if you're going to take it from them.
Yeah.
Give it here. Bye.
Well, okay, so we could always split the difference, do an average. So exactly $2 million is what it costs.
Definitely. Yeah, so obviously we see the press are hounding Jeffrey as well, knocking on his door, going, "How'd you feel now your bloody girlfriend, your fiance's dead?" And he's just
It's
leave me
so,
alone.
like the performance that we get for the character of Jeffrey, I love it. I find it so endearing. He's so brilliantly awkward in it, but so deliberate in it as well. Like he is out of control, but at the same time, really well done. It feels like I think it takes an immense amount of skill to act on purpose in such an awkward way. If you're an idiot, you might think this is badly acted, but it isn't. James Lorinz plays this to absolute perfection.
Good. And his comic timing and his delivery of lines is so delightful. It really is so much fun to watch him and his various monologues. Like he is doing a lot of monologues, and that is hard for any actor. Like in a film, an actor might have one or two monologues, and they'll play it at the Oscars, and they'll be like, oh. But he's just monologue after monologue after monologue. He's doing a great job.
He's just like narrating everything essentially, isn't he? Everything's like there's this like stream of consciousness constantly, of him like deep, almost like an external battle, an internal battle, but an external representation of that battle going on. He's like Travis Bickle going on. That's what's happening.
Mm.
And how often is James Lorinz basically on screen with props, otherwise carrying a scene entirely on his own? Like in one of the scenes after he's watched the video back, and he's had that brilliant interaction with his mom that you love, Alice, where he explains what's going on, and his mom's like, "Oh, do you want a sandwich?"
That was Woody Allen's first wife, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, Louise Lesser.
Don't know what to believe and what not to believe anymore.
No, that one is true. That one is true. She was in She was in. Have you guys seen Funny Pages that came out last year?
No, I haven't.
No.
That is a dirty, grimy, hilarious comedy that is well worth watching. But my God, is it grimy?
Okay, Funny Pages. Writing it
Funny
down,
Pages.
Alice.
She's in that. She's good in that.
Yes, so
she was married to Woody Allen.
Yeah. But after that scene where she asks him if she wants a sandwich, we get to see the plan is unfolding. We've seen Jeffrey doing some sketches already over the title credits, showing like how we would make a Frankenhooker. But he reveals his plan, where this is one of those scenes that he basically carries solo, where he gets his decapitated fiance's stolen head and body parts out of the chest freezer, which is full of special restorative estrogen-based fluid. It's important that that's there for later.
Yeah.
Chekhov's estrogen-based fluids. And he basically carries an entire dinner scene where he outlays his plans to a fake decapitated head.
Yeah. And he talks to the head as if it's sentient, but also as if it's just if it is just his fiance. There interacting with him as well, which is fascinating. But yeah, it's a great scene.
And he's taken the time to make collages of Elizabeth on the just photos from his jazz mags.
Of all the photos, he's just like, I'm gonna make a Frankenhooker before anyone says it's anything related to sexual activity. I'm not just gonna paste her head onto some naked woman, but no, he does. Which one do you like? Yeah, a bit too much. Yeah, not natural enough. Yeah, why not? Classic.
It's interesting because like you see little bits of their relationship before, and they seem like a nice couple and things, and she's like, I'm fat, and she's in her fat suit and things. So he's like, yeah. But like as soon as he gets the opportunity to change her body and choose what he wants, he's like, do you know what? I'm gonna go really big tits, really small waist.
Yeah.
Dunk. Oh.
Why have you chosen that? Why can't you just find a body that was similar to mine before? Well, while I've got autonomy over it, I might as well just, give it a go.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring you back to life, but I'm also gonna go shopping.
Yeah.
For the best.
Yeah.
Is this where you find out whether you're a optimist or pessimist about the priorities of men? Whether you assume, because she wanted to be thinner, but he's trying to be nice and helpful. Otherwise, if you have a less positive outlook, what a bloody perv.
What a dirty pervert. I mean, yeah, he is a pervert, really, isn't he? And I guess we sort of understand his mania. He's got some nice baggy eyes painted on most of the time,
and he's started drilling his skull.
Oh my God,
that's gonna have an effect.
Yeah,
I think that goes to somewhat to explain his erraticness and his inability to he's drilling his skull to stimulate the decision making abilities, which we all know behind the ear. So he's just massaging them with a drill, but it is at the detrimental cost of his humanity.
Great idea. Next time I have a creative block, I'm going to get myself down to being Q.
And you know what? Great.
See what happens.
Great self-awareness.
Have you seen Pi? Darren Aronofsky's Pi?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, not for a long, long time now.
Something
similar? Something similar?
Do you not remember the end of that?
No.
Oh.
I'm talking like my early 20s or whenever.
Well, a drill and a skull feature.
Oh, okay.
Feature heavily.
Maybe I'm due a rewatch then, if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, is this another rip-off of like a prestigious filmmaker taking the fine work from Frankenhooker and making it their own? Yeah, do some brain drilling, but also, like I say, a little bit of self-awareness, because he does say, "Oh my goodness, I'm on the very edge morally. I'm losing my
Yeah.
moral steering on this one. Is it the grief? Is it the drills to the brain? I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you.
Is it not
Apparently
eating enough sandwiches?
Is it not eating enough sandwiches? Aye.
the it's called trepanning or trepanning.
Trepanning?
I guess. Trepanning. Is
That's
that what it's called?
That's what cavemen
Drill a
used
hole?
to do. If you had a headache when you're a caveman. I mean, I don't know any caveman men, but what they taught us in year 7 history was that they believed there were evil spirits in your head. So you smash them open to get them out, and people didn't always die from it because there was evidence of their skulls healing after they'd had their head smashed open. But yeah, trepanning.
Mm.
Wow. How many
So
times can you do that?
sometimes get bad spirits out your head. Other times stimulate you to have some ideas.
Yeah. Whatever happened to you all the time though? I'm always getting bad spirits in my head. There's only so many times you could drill your head in, right?
I reckon it may be just a way to encourage like real malingering cavemen from back in the day just to be a bit more stoic about having a headache. Because you probably have someone going, "Oh, I can't come on the elephant hunt today, lads. I've got such a headache. I can't smash the head open." And then next time, "You want to come for the elephant hunt, or have you got a bad head?" "No, I'm fine, actually."
Come for the elephant hunt. Nah, I'd rather stay in, to be fair. It's one of those things that when I have initially agreed to it, I was hyped, but now it's come round to it, I'm like, I'd rather do anything but.
It's the weekend, and I've only got a couple of days off. Gonna just do nothing? No, trepanned if you don't come.
Trepanned against your will. Yeah, so he's doing that, which is unfortunate, isn't it? But I guess it explains his mania in the best possible way.
And he comes up Sherlock Holmes like deduction style with a clue, saying, "Oh, like I can bring you back. I've mastered the science." And his mom has observed that, hey, your eye brain thing, he's working just fine now. You've got some great skills. And he's like, "Oh, so I can bring you back. I know I have the technology, I have the skills, I have the know-how, but I don't have enough parts. Where am I going to get some parts from?" And he comes to the idea there are people out there who sell their body parts all the time. I mean, it's a bit of a leap from the terms of service that I'm sure many sex workers are offering, but when you've been drilling your head, that's the kind of lateral thinking you can be doing.
There's so much of him like trying to reason with himself and sort of give himself an explanation and sort of justify the things he's doing when it comes to this, when it comes to like him. I've just made a load of super crack and I'm just going to leave it in the middle of the room. And if they smoke it, well, who am I to say?
Yeah. And I think I can't remember at what point it comes in the film, but we have the shot of the TV show. There's our old friend, I can't remember what her name is in Basket Case. The hooker in Basket Case. She has a little cameo in this.
Oh, does
What's
she?
her name?
Let's have a look and see what I can find the
No, I don't
lady's
think I
name.
noticed.
There's like a bit where there's a talk
Oh,
show
yeah, of
and
course.
she's
Yeah.
talking about legalizing prostitution, and the guy's like, "That's crazy. What next?" And she's like, "No, because that will help. Like if we legalize it, then people won't be, having like, what they called pimps and things like that." And
Yeah,
like
and they won't be
actually,
forced
that's a
into
very serious,
he won't be
good
forced into
point.
drugs. And I love it
Yeah.
how Jeffrey's there watching it going, "She's right, she's right." He like shouting at the TV.
He says that, but then what does he say afterwards? He says she's right, and then says, "Oh, he says something else which completely contradicts what, like him agreeing with it." I can't remember what it was, but it's pretty funny.
But it's
isn't it?
nice to see her again. I'm glad she's in this. And I think it's stuff like that that makes this film really interesting, because if you took it purely at face value, you could think it's really misogynistic. But actually, there's a lot of sort of feminist undertones for this, and just putting a clip in like that about actually like if you want to actually deal with some of the systemic issues of like sex work, then legalizing it and making it safe for people and not telling people they can't do it or should do it or whatever, but actually just making it a safe environment is a really important message.
Yeah.
Some
Genuinely,
really
it
good
is.
points made,
Did
yeah.
give me a little pause of that, because like it does, whereas a lot of it is played for laughs, that kind of does take a beat, and they just deliver that fairly solidly. And the same fact that he talks about how it's drugs that are killing people, and these people that have these addictions that they're forced into this basically indentured servitude to continue to feed these drug habits. You're right, some real actual serious played with a smile and quickly getting back to the jokes. But you're right, like, will we declare this a feminist movie at the end? You wouldn't think it from a title, Frankenhooker, but especially with the ending that we'll come to, maybe
Yeah.
it is. Maybe we've
Oh,
all
yeah.
learned a little something.
There's a lot of sort of ideas of, the control of him sort of having control over Elizabeth's body as well. Wait, Elizabeth, is that right? Yeah. Control over her body as well, like the way she looks, but literally having control of like pretty much everything. Everything is like against her will. So almost the ending of that is a lovely flip on that idea as well. So yeah, I think there are a lot of feminist themes running through it, most definitely.
But before we get to the feminist themes, he's alleged that there are women willing to sell their bodies, and he drives over
onto the hookers.
Jersey
Right,
to
forget the feminist themes.
Manhattan.
Get the hookers involved. Drives to Manhattan. Is he dressed as a doctor at this point? No, he's not. He's dressed in a lovely suit, big glasses, and
I love
big
that
hair.
he puts his serial killer glasses on for his expedition. At no point, other than when murdering prostitutes, does he wear serial killer glasses. But he's like, well, I'm going to murder some prostitutes. Better put these bad boys on.
In the 1990s, nobody probably knew that those were like serial killer glasses. People were just like, oh, they're top of the range. But now, looking back,
well, that's why there were so
serial killer
many
glasses.
serial killers in the 90s. They were buying the glasses and
True. True.
just driving them insane.
Yeah.
So he starts talking to one sex worker and sort of explains that he's going to need lots of girls for a big party with his friend. Is that how he explains it?
His brother who's been ill.
Yeah.
My brother's been ill. He's had a bad time. Nothing could be better for him than 6 women at once.
And then when the first person, is that Amber who approaches first? Oh,
yeah, I think so.
Gives him the name Jersey Boy and is straight away, check a look at the merchandise, shirts down. Alice, what was your phrase for a dress? Starts late, finishes early. This one finishes.
This one doesn't start or finish.
This one's on half day. This dress.
Yeah.
But in order for him to acquire the services of as many girls as that, they're going to need to go and pay a visit to the pimp to ask what are they doing, asking for his permission. So there's a guy called Zorro, and this interior is terrifying. Like, just imagine walking into this place, the tightest corridors, everybody staring at you, loads of interesting characters, smoking, drinking, up in your face. And then,
have you both been there? Have you ever been one of these things where you walk into a place quite confidently and then realize it's a bit rougher and tougher than you are?
Oh hell yes! Oh hell yes! Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, I'm just like, can I leave? It's too late.
I feel suddenly threatened.
I feel suddenly threatened, and also like the pimp is like, let's just say his office is a toilet. It's the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Step into my office, and he's a big guy, and he like immediately puts his arm around Jeffrey and like brings him in close, and basically says it's gonna. What's he saying? Like, says it's gonna cost you.
It's gonna cost you, but Jeffrey doesn't seem short of money, so he's like, "Don't worry, I got money. That's fine."
Flashing the cash, and it's gonna be like, is it the next night? Is that essentially what they're gonna do?
I think he plans it for the next day, because then I think it's after they make the arrangements.
Oh, so it has to be on a certain day because there's a big storm coming.
Yes, we see on the weather that the storm's on the way, right?
The weatherman.
Who's this weatherman?
He didn't sing the Monster Mash, but he did the Monster Mash album, and he was like a radio and TV personality. He had like a little horror show, so it is like a proper little cameo. Like, I want to say his name's like John. Yes, John.
Yeah, John Zacco.
Yeah. So if you saw him, he would be like instantly like recognizable.
Oh wow. He says, obviously there's going to be there's going to be electrical storm. Great for all of you mad doctors out there, doesn't he? Says that.
Yes, it says he did voice work for films and recorded a top 10 novelty rock and roll song, Dinner with Drac.
Novelty.
Novelty.
See about that.
Outrageous. But yeah, he did Shock Theatre, which was a TV show in the 50s.
Yeah, he had. I didn't know who he was, but the second, like, I think it's framed in such a way that the second you see him, this is a guy. This is clearly like a well-known guy that we're like. We know who this is. This guy you'll find in other things.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's why it has to be on a specific date because there's a big electrical storm coming.
There's a big electrical storm coming, and I think this is where, after the arrangements have been made and he's off to work out his plan, it's seeing the drugs that Zorro is also dealing, as well as being a pimp. He's a double threat. He does drugs and prostitution. It's not just
triple threat. He does
really.
stabbings as well.
He does violent crime as well.
Does he?
So this is where
I don't know if he stabs anyone, but he's certainly he does. Yeah, he's a big mean guy.
He punches Frankenhooker's head off later on.
Yeah.
So he has big punches as well as stabs. But this is where I think we have the scene where we have the TV, like the Trisha's on, and we have them talking about the real threats
Casey
to these women on the streets.
Casey, isn't it? In Basket Case, that's the character's name.
There you
Casey.
go. And she's there talking about, and what is they have like an organization, and it's got like a fun acronym. What is it? Does anyone remember?
Oh,
it's Hooker, isn't it? It's like oh God, what is it? The acronym is Hooker, but I can't remember what it stands for. God damn it!
But it's like a positive one. It's like honing our knowledge of something. Like it's something along. It's about protecting these women in this.
Hold on to our knowledge of equal rights.
That's right.
I knew I'd find it. All I had to Google.
So good.
Yeah, it's great.
But did you Google for that? And what is this done to your search history?
Hooker acronym Frankenhooker.
Okay.
And it was maybe result number 6. I have to have a little
hold on to our knowledge of equal rights. Very good.
Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is when he is agreeing with the television sort of chat show while developing. Right. he's right. Don't shut her up. So while he's agreeing with that, this is when he's making his super crack, big, massive. Ooh. And again, he sort of positions it as a kindness, saying, "Look, I'm losing my morality here, and to bring Elizabeth back, I am going to have to commit murders, and people are going to have to die." But he sort of pauses and goes, "But at least it'll be painless."
So what does he do? He takes the crack from Zorro and uses the basically bases his chemical to some sort of science.
He uses his
he
amazing science.
Engineers it basically, and then makes it deadly.
Super crack, and they test it on a guinea pig. But he talks to the guinea pig.
You're so sexy.
If I was a guinea pig, I'd be in that cage with you as well.
Can I have a little blast on this super crack, and then we get to understand how it's going to function because the guinea pig immediately explodes.
Yeah, and you think surely that's not going to happen to all of those ladies, is it? Yeah, surely not.
Well, we don't know. We're going to have to find out, but that's okay. You don't have to wait long because the party comes up pretty quickly because pretty soon we're on the next day and we get fed a lot of lines that we'll hear a little bit later in the film where they have a bit of a get together.
Hey, Jersey boy.
Yeah. This here is Dr. Jeff. He's a Dr. Jersey boy here. Wants to play doctor. And then we get an extensive scene of Jeffrey measuring women's body parts.
Yeah. Measuring women's body parts.
Putting ticks and crosses and being like, oh, so close.
These legs are absolutely perfect. I've never seen a leg this good. Looking at someone's like horrible lasered off tattoo. Well, not lasered off, it's like burnt on tattoo.
Yeah, they've got like the Zorro marks on them. This is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Yeah. It's good if not.
Poking people in the nipples to see what the rebound is.
Yeah.
What does he say? He said something about great buoyancy. That's got to be the closest close up of a nipple in cinema history, right? It's
can't
be.
think of any more. Not from your mainstream cinema that you don't
If
just watch on
you can
websites.
think of a closer nipple close up, then write to us.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Get in touch on the socials.
It takes up the whole screen, you know. If you're watching that in 4K, it'd be insane. Watching that on the
That
cinema
could
screen.
be. I mean, I guess this scene, probably talking about the inspirations of this film and the impact it had on cinema. I guess the idea of this being a lovely meet cute with him poking at these ladies' boobs and measuring their thighs and their height and every other measurement you can imagine, would probably be the inspiration for that Love Actually scene where that couple get together, right? Martin Freeman and so on as well, simulating sex. That's probably what inspired that. A lovely meet cute in an otherwise simulated sexual situation. I reckon it's probably what they went for.
Yeah.
So obviously, all of these girls are kind of going along with it, enjoying themselves, thinking it's all a bit silly, thinking it's like a role play scenario, I guess. Little do they know, of course, that of the plans that Jeffrey has, but he begins to have a little bit of second thoughts. He starts
Because he finds
to
them
go
all
back
so
on-
nice and charming. Because I said,
finds-
they're having some banter with him. So, oh, do you want to take my temperature, doc? Bet you got a massive thermometer. And he's like, very kind to you. You're all so nice. He's like, he loses it, doesn't he? He's like, I can't do it. You're all so nice. I can't pick. Because obviously, in his mind, whoever he picks, he's going to have to murder with super crack.
Yeah, exactly. So he starts to have second thoughts, starts to go back on it, and then the girls almost say, "Well, you're still going to pay us, aren't you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about life and death.
Take the money.
Take the money." And he gives them the money, and they obviously are very happy with the amount of
But
money
he's
there is.
forgotten the super cracks in the money bag.
And
then
literally,
when they see it,
their
they
reaction to
are-
the super crack is insane. The party's not over yet.
Yeah.
And they pretty much pin him
And then we get
down,
one
or
of
they
the
all.
finest cinematic moments in history.
Yeah. I tell you what, if you do listen to this, and I mean, why would you, having not seen this movie? I mean, maybe this film isn't for you, but I'm pretty sure this particular scene is probably available as a standalone on YouTube, even if you don't have the desire to watch the
Yeah.
entire film Frankenhooker, which, spoilers for our ratings, you really should. You can watch this one scene, and it is much like the crack crystallizing all of those wonderful, delicious chemical compounds. This crystallizes everything in this film because he is delivering some great lines. The rock music is the devil's music. No, don't.
Yeah, and
Let me up. I've been down. You'll die. Get away from it. And then just these women going absolutely wild on this super crack.
And I think Jeffrey says you're like cats on catnip.
Yeah,
they're going wild for super crack. And it's like, despite the fact of everything that happens, it's like there's no gore in this scene. It's literally they're exploding like pyrotechnics going off, aren't they? That's the kind of explosions, and their body parts are literally just breaking off.
I think there might have originally been an idea to add blood and guts, but I think that they probably already knew that they weren't going to get a rating, it was going to be a high rating. So I think the special effects guy was a bit sad that there was no blood and guts. But
yeah, that is a shame.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Also, it came off fairly perfectly without it.
Story of what do the Americans have? Is it what's their rating system? NP?
Oh yeah.
MPA? No.
Yeah, it is something like him. I'm just so conditioned to BBFC.
Anyway, the censor rang Frank Henenlotter up and went, it's rated S, and he was like, it's a new rating, and he was like, oh, what's that then, for sex? And they went, no, for shit.
You're from a professional film rating body. I don't expect you to phone me up to do like cruel jokes. Piece of work.
Wow.
For shit. But it's
S for shit.
They were wrong, weren't they? Where are they now?
Dead.
Yeah.
They exploded after taking a bit of super crack.
At least it was painless though.
Yeah, and obviously the cuts from like somebody smoking the super crack, being a little bit unwell, to then suddenly exploding are like amazing. It's incredibly jarring, but in like the best possible way.
Quickly turning from a live woman with some smoke coming out of her clothes to a definite model exploding like a Power Rangers baddie.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
And it
I
goes
love
on for ages.
Yeah.
It
You
goes
know,
on for
you've got to get
ages.
those body parts.
Until he's surrounded by a sea of body parts, and he's just like, "I'm so sorry. Oh my god!"
And the pimp
And then
Zorro
he's
comes to
like,
walk in.
I'm gonna put you back together. I've got to do something first, but
yeah, I got things on. I got a lot on my schedule.
I am going to do it. And Zorro has walked him through because he was coming and he was getting frustrated. They were taking too long. And he storms into the room to see what's going on, only to get a little bonk on the head from another head that's been exploded at him.
Does it like knock
Not
him
the kind of
out?
head he wanted.
No. But he was thinking in his life as a pimp, thinking of head, he's not thinking a decapitated head is going to smash me in the face and knock me unconscious. So that's what he got this evening.
It does knock him clean out, doesn't it? Because he
Yeah.
manages to get away. Jeffrey, I do like Zorro's downfall after this. What's a pimp without his girls? Is that what he says?
Yeah. Zorro's arc is he has a great bout of depression.
Yeah.
After all of his
left to live for.
After all of his like stable exploded.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jeffrey gathers up as many parts as he can and goes back to the lab ahead of the storm. And he does keep promising them. He puts and again, I love his habit of like talking to these, let's face it, parts of women as if they are still living people. And like, don't worry, everybody, I'll put you back together and I'll put you all in this estrogen-based bath and it'll keep your parts alive. But today, it has to be about Elizabeth. I'll fix you all later, but today, she is the priority. This is her night. And he puts it together.
Fair enough, isn't it?
With all the parts that he's ticked and all the different elements of the different people, because say what you want about Jeffrey, but he's had a plan and he is going to stick to it now that he's got there. He's picked all of his favorite parts from all of them.
I'm no scientist, but she goes up in one outfit and comes down another.
What outfit did she go up in?
Like when she goes up, she's like, I don't know if she's wearing just like a bed, like a like nightgown or something, but she comes down in like a sexy outfit. So I don't know. He didn't put her in that. And he didn't give her purple hair either. You know, she had a normal hair.
Is that to do with the estrogen stuff? Because the estrogen-based stuff that's keeping the body parts is like purple. So I guess, but it is a great like choice, isn't it, for the purple hair? It's like super, super distinctive.
Yeah.
It's a good look. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a Benjamin Franklin. I don't know the full properties of lightning. Anything that we don't understand, maybe it's that the mysterious powers of lightning have finished those off. That's what makes the purple areolas and the hair, the general tinging.
Everybody knows lightning makes you slutty.
Yeah.
We've all been there. We've all been there during a lightning storm. We've gone, suddenly I feel like wearing something skimpy. Okay, but yeah, it works. He manages to bring her back to life. However, she seems a little bit different, a little bit odd, and it's almost like she's like an amalgamation of these personalities of all the women whose body parts that make him up. But in the most simple terms, she can only really communicate in a few choice phrases.
Yeah, she's like an action figure, and that's her. Those are the phrases that she's come programmed with. Want a party? Want some company? Got any money?
Want a date? Got any money?
Want a date? Yeah, and the facial expression as well. How would you represent this facial expression? Yeah,
very, very good. Sorry for anyone not watching the video. We're all doing it.
The VHS, there was a special copy where it had a button you could press and it went "Want a date," which helped.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Which helped its release because it didn't do very well. It didn't have a wide release and it didn't do very well. It didn't make its budget back, but partly through endorsement of Bill Murray and the video sales and release and the button that said "want a date." It kind of spread a bit. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm a big person for getting special editions or collectibles of anything, but with that piece of trivia, Alice, I finally found something that I might have to go to the ends of the earth to obtain.
I think I found it. It's going for some serious money, but VHS talking box. Well, actually, I say serious money, £90, which is it says with talking box, so I'm assuming that is it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Ben, I don't have children to look after. I'm not addicted to
Got any money?
Yeah.
Got any money?
Yeah.
Could be worse. You could be spending it on super crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but she pretty much immediately leaves, doesn't she? What happens to Jeffrey?
Knocks him out.
Oh yeah,
like, thumps him.
Oh yeah, because she says, "Got any money?" And he's like, "What? What are you doing?" I do like how her instant response to someone saying that they don't want a date or they don't have any money is just to knock him out.
Yeah.
And this is brilliant method acting of traditional Frankenstein. She does a big like Frankenstein from the classic adaptation of from Hammer, a big snarl and a grab and a throw. That's the Frankenstein moveset.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she does.
And
she's do a lot of that.
From this point on, the movie also really elevates. I know the scene where all the prostitutes blow up is like, but she is so good. Her facial expressions and her mannerisms and everything is her physical comedy is just amazing.
Yeah.
She's really good.
Yeah.
She is to physical comedy what Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, is to like pun work when it comes to horror movies of the era. So well put together, so well timed. It's an absolute masterclass of genre acting. And I'm not saying that facetiously. I genuinely mean it.
Yeah, I think she's great. I think she's really, really funny.
Yeah.
This sort of like unhuman, like, confused, like what is, because she's parts of everyone and she's experiencing all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And her drive is just like, I've got to make money for my pimp, so I've got to go and find people, and this is my motivation, my drive, and just these like weird like little twitches and ticks that she does is so funny.
Brilliant. And just looking at this, I am, astounded / disheartened with the fact that Patty Mullen, at least according to a Letterboxd page, is in 3 movies, and I think all of them before this.
She was in Doom Asylum and then Frankenhooker, and then it says she was just in The Equalizer in a TV show. So
I've got Strange Toys in here as well, which I'd never heard of. She's only a voice in that. So it's such a, obviously I don't know her personal history, but I'm astounded if she continued acting that she didn't get more genre work, because I think she's brilliant in this.
Yeah, she's really fun. She was a model as well, though, so I'm sure she had a
probably busy with that
career.
Yeah.
So she makes her way pretty much back to Manhattan and back to the street where Jeffrey picked up all of the girls. She just makes a sort of like it's a homing beacon. She goes all the way back.
I guess from the memory of all of her parts, right? And she attacks some people along the way. She meets some tourists who she again Frankenstein attacks. Like, yeah,
they love it though. People are taking photos of her. People are like well into it, including this little Danny DeVito looking guy who's absolutely amazed by her, and he immediately
the woman
wants to
of
get
his
involved.
dreams.
Woman of his dreams. He wanted like, but the way even on the subway, everyone's looking at her like, obviously because I guess she's got scars on her body and she's pale. Is that how you look at pale people? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you've got a type, and I'm not ruling myself out of this, Ben, then absolutely. And this little wee man here who sees this Danny DeVito guy,
little wee man.
absolutely is into it, even though, overtly based on her catchphrases, she is a sex worker, asks if she wants a date, asks if he has any money, and takes him straight off to the apartment that Zorro has.
I feel like this is the way he would have
set
wanted to
up.
go out as well, because he seems in ecstasy.
He's
to
fine
his
with
final
it. Like
moments.
his head is still slightly conscious when he blows up, and he's like, great.
And he's like,
I've had a
wow,
brilliant time. Yeah, this is
absolutely
literally
brilliant. 10 on
the
10.
best. Yeah, so this is, I guess, instilled by the electricity that she's absolutely chockers with. She does have sex with the what's the right terminology? I think his character is like, he is her Frankenhooker's like Mark or John or something along those lines. So she takes him there, does some sex with him, so good and electric that he explodes, a bit like she did at the start of the film, but he does it with electricity. He gets all exploded.
The severed head's happy. Yeah, and on the way out, doesn't someone try and kiss her as well? And then she explodes them too? Or...
Yes.
Yeah.
And throws him through the glass. Lovely single plane 1990 like glass that you can throw someone through easy as you like.
So then she goes. Does she go straight to a bar now? Is this when she goes to a bar?
She goes to the same bar that we saw earlier, where Spike, the bartender, I guess, shows that we have some of Elizabeth memories in there as well, because she's eating a big old bowl of pretzels and she says, hey, go easy on those pretzels. And she has a big growl
easy on the pretzels. And then we've got Zorro sat at the bar all depressed as well. Just like, it's never going to be the same again.
Yeah, he's like, woe is me. He's like Billy Mitchell on Christmas Day in EastEnders, looking miserable because a tragedy has occurred. And he looks over and he sees there's a man that goes chatting Frankenhooker up, and and he's telling about all the things he would like to give her and how he can take her away from this place. He goes, look, an example of what I'm willing to offer. How about I nosh you off here in the bar? Unfortunately, it doesn't go too well for him because he gets an electrocuting, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's unfortunately on one of her arms got her pimp's
Zorro tattoo.
It's weird that he kept that arm, isn't it?
Yeah, because he would have found it imperfect.
Yeah, maybe
everyone
had
all
one.
the right arms had Zeds. Maybe.
Yeah. So he had to compromise on that one, did Jeffrey, when he was making a new body for Elizabeth. So Zorro comes over, and fair play to Zorro, because he's involved in criminal activities, but he is able to suspend his disbelief, and he immediately goes, "That's not your arm. That's someone else's arm." Your average Joe on the street, I don't think, they would just say it's impossible. Someone else has just copied this tattoo. But he makes what may seem to some crazy, but in this case, the correct leap to say that's someone else's arm and you're somehow made up of an amalgamation of several other people's bodies.
It's because he recognizes her saying like everything that his girls would say or used to say. He's like, I recognize that.
So he was paying attention to him.
He puts two and two together.
Yeah. He gets exactly the right number. So he confronts her straight away and he wants to know what's going on. A bit of an altercation goes, and he does lose the moral high ground here a little bit, because he does punch her head off.
Yeah. And, what does he do? Like punches her and her head almost comes off. Is that what happens?
Yeah, her head sort of rocks backwards.
Yeah, rocks back.
And then loads of electricity's coming out and basically exploding the bar.
And meanwhile, Jeffrey has figured out, he's come to after she knocked him out, driven there, and there's like, oh no, she's gone back there. And fortunately goes to this bar just as this is happening to pick up the pieces. And
sticks her head back on. Everyone else has fled. I mean, he gets there having had, like, he has sort of the opposite search of the streets that Elizabeth had earlier, right? Because he's going up to, hey, my girlfriend, she's around here, she's real sick, have you seen her? She is really tall and purple. She's really tall and purple.
And one guy says something in Swedish. He goes, "What is that? Swedish?
You talking Swedish to me? Someone's got a
Swedish. You talking Swedish to me in Times Square?" God damn.
You're some kind of Swede. Get
You're
out of
some
here.
kind of Swede. I love how you can identify Swedish. Great.
Yeah. And I also love how, genuinely credited in the film's cast, the second person who gives him advice is literally called Batman Shirts.
Could you
It
just
is.
give me a character name? Just give me a character name. Call me
Yeah.
Johnny or something. No, Batman
Avin
Shirt.
Harum is Batman Shirt.
Recurring character?
Yeah. Actually, main character. He's in 4 films.
That's
Nighthawks.
Batman Shirt.
The Soldier.
Oh God.
Willie and Phil. And then
Willie
of
and
course
Phil.
Frankenhooker as his
Yeah.
primary role, Batman Shirt. But yeah, when Jeffrey does find that, he grabs her. Did Zorro flee after electricity started flying, or does he get knocked out again? How does she evade Zorro in this?
Isn't it just like busy and chaotic and
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
panicky?
Jeffrey
Let's
grabs her,
just get away,
escapes, and
but
brings.
Zorro has paid attention to that.
Yeah,
He's
he's
seen them
always picking up
escape.
little. He's picking up little details. Not only has he got a very Poirot-y moustache, he's got his skills of observation as well.
I mean, you've got to be hypervigilant as an evil pimp.
In 1990 in New York, I imagine there's no tougher market. You've really got to have your wits about you. So yeah, on he goes, and he's following him along, but he's following at a safe distance, which gives Jeffrey enough time to get Elizabeth back home, give her a little bit of fine tuning, give her a bit more electricity, and then she kind of comes to herself, right? She's not having any more.
Yeah.
She's not coming to any more of her phrases, and she's basically Elizabeth again. Her consciousness has asserted itself, and she's like, "What's Jeffrey? What's going on here?"
So she's like, she seems happy.
She's not best pleased, to be honest.
Yeah.
At first,
Initially,
an
she
initial
seems
delight
happy,
about being
yeah.
alive again is quickly overrun by, "This isn't my breasts. This isn't my legs and arm. This is definitely not my arm."
Yeah. And then she starts to understand what he's bloody done. How did you even get these body parts? What have you done? And he's trying to explain himself, but Zorro, who's followed them home, is now doing a little sneak into the laboratory. No one notices him, and he
chops Jeffrey's head off.
Chops Jeffrey's
He has
head
a
off with,
machete.
oh yeah, with ease, just plops it off. Yeah, and then he grabs.
I told you, triple
Elizabeth.
threat, stabby.
Yeah,
stabbing, macheteing.
That's grade A stabbing as well. I think sometimes when you get to a third skill, you think, well, you're not so good at that one.
Yeah.
As a guy's head straight off to Zorro.
Jeffrey is done.
Yeah. Second best swordsman that we've heard of with that name.
I mean, Zorro is just really interested in the head trauma based murder.
Yeah,
100%.
That's his thing. Being a pimp and cutting people's heads off one way or another.
But that's what he's all about. Unfortunately, of all the things that Zorro is prepared for as an evil pimp in New York City in 1990, what he's not prepared for is a big fridge full of reanimated lady parts.
Yeah, this is amazing. So he's trying to drag Elizabeth away, basically saying, most of your new body belongs to me, so now you belong to me. But the spare parts, they've also been reanimated by the storm. They've merged into various grotesque, multiple limbed monsters, and they all grab hold of Zorro.
It's a slightly sexier version of the Thing, isn't it?
It is a slightly sexier version of the Thing, yeah. You're right.
The Fang.
Exactly. Excellent work.
The Fang. And they drag Zorro into the storage cooler to his presumable death, but they do grab all of the drugs as well and bring them in. So, whatever's going on in that cooler is going to be a good time, isn't it?
Yeah.
For everyone involved.
And I feel like that's an appropriate end to Zorro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He died as he lived.
Yeah.
And then we get the final scene. which is
well,
well-
like I guess this is Elizabeth's time now, and this is where we get, I think, a wonderful and heartwarming and encouraging message of equality and of female empowerment here, because now looking at Jeffrey's disembodied head, and it shows they're a good match all along, because Elizabeth stops and comes over and says, "Oh, Jeffrey, what's happened to you? But don't worry, I think I can fix it."
You left loads of great notes.
Yeah, and we see
You've
Jeffrey
left
just wake up.
Very well.
Jeffrey
Yeah.
wakes up and he's alive again. Elizabeth, now dressed in the doctor, she's got the little light reflecting thing that doctors have, but I don't know what it's actually for on their head. It is for reflecting light, right? When you're saying, shine it in your
Yes,
face.
it's so that you can see things better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So doctors don't get run over when they're walking along the road. Headlights will reflect off them. Yeah, so Jeffrey wakes up and he goes, "What's going on? It's okay, Jeffrey. You left extensive notes." And Elizabeth, very happy that they can live together, and she's brought him back. And she basically repeats what he has said to her when she was brought back to life. But as we know, Chekhov's estrogen-based reanimation fluid, it only works on women's bodies. So
she couldn't use old sexy Zorro.
Yeah, they
No.
couldn't give him Zorro's
Or his
sexy body
or
or
his
his
own
own
body.
body. Nope.
No.
He's been given a sexy lady body to live in.
And he's
I mean,
not best pleased.
What happened to my Johnson? Oh no!
What happened to my Johnson? We've all had that
Yeah.
dream, right? I've had that dream. You had that dream, Andy?
He woke up stitched to a sexy lady body and worried where Willie's gone.
At least once a week.
And on that magical note, we
Yeah.
end what has been a cinematic tour de force, which if
Ooh.
you haven't watched it
85
already,
minutes.
even with us describing it in detail to you, go and watch it anyway, I think. And if you have already watched it, use this as a prompt to go and watch it again. It's ever so fun.
Yeah. It's fun times. Andy, have you got any name game for Frankenhooker?
I've got some name game for Frankenhooker. Are you ready?
I'm going to let
Alice,
you take
you're
the
a
lead,
hand at
Andy.
this. You don't need the game explaining, do you? You know.
No.
Right, Ben, give me the synopsis, will you? And then we'll go for it.
Okay, so the synopsis for Frankenhooker, 1990 Frank Henenlotter movie, is a medical student sets out to recreate his decapitated fiancée by building her a new body made of Manhattan Street prostitutes. Something along those lines.
Okay, a New Jersey scientist rebuilds his decapitated girlfriend with the body parts of a 5-time WCW world champion.
I cannot believe you've done this. I was literally writing down name game, and I said to Charlie I should do one like this, and then I went, "Oh, actually, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure if anyone's going to know who that is, but thank you very much for doing that." It's Frankenbooker T.
Frankenbooker T. Very good.
I crossed it out from my list because I was like, "What am I going to say?"
Too niche.
I was like, I'm not going to get a wrestling one, but I know who that is. So
You know that.
I know who that is.
It wasn't I disrespected either of you in a way. I was just not sure. I thought it was going to be maybe too niche, but I'm glad you both know. I'm
Who
happy.
Booker T is.
Spinneroonies for everyone.
Yeah. Have you got one, Ben? Because otherwise I've got a reference which I feel, and again, no disrespect to you, I think my next one may fall definitely into Alice's wheelhouse based on something she described today.
Do it. Go for it. Don't worry about me.
So a New Jersey scientist goes to resurrect his decapitated girlfriend using the body parts of a slightly maverick television detective who shoots first and asks questions later, played by William Shatner.
What was it? Starsky and Hutch? No, I don't know.
It is. I mean, now you've finished Perry Mason, maybe go on and enjoy yourself a series or two of Franken TJ Hooker.
Yeah. Oh yes.
That's Bill Shatner.
Yeah, of course.
These are great so far, Andy.
You got any, Ben? I could go on.
I'm just gonna let you go on. There's no point
Fine.
me jumping in. I don't know who's good at this.
A New Jersey scientist resurrects, originally plans to resurrect his girlfriend in a beautiful purple outfit, but he accidentally resurrects a sex worker in a different purple outfit with a skull ring, and he's played by oh no, what's the actor who plays that character? He has the power of 10 tigers. And he is played in a film by
Power of 10 Tigers.
Yeah, he's friends with Flash Gordon, and he's in like pulp comics, and he was played by Billy Zane in a 1990 superhero movie.
The Phantom.
So the film is called
Phantom
Hooker.
Phantom Hooker. Very good.
It's good. It's good. Has he really got a power of 10 tigers?
He does have the power of 10 tigers, yes.
That's a lot, isn't it?
So many tigers.
Yeah, there's a lot. Can't even fathom
What couldn't you do if you had the power of 10 tigers behind you? The beast calling brother, the ghost who walks. Anyway, as for another one, a New Jersey scientist brings back his girlfriend after she is decapitated. However, not wishing to kill any sex workers, he brings her back with some leftover chickens from a local farm.
Leftover?
Just some chicken parts.
Chicken bits.
Yeah, chicken bits.
Giblets.
So he makes her not a Frankenhooker, brings her back as
Frankenclucker?
Frankenclucker. Very good.
Is that the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have accepted Franken as well. That would have been fine. Yeah. I would also have accepted that. There you go. Those are the ones I had. There's my prime real estate for this week.
Wonderful. 10 out
Either of you got any? Do you want to throw out there?
I struggled. They're all pretty basic.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I feel like of all the guests we have, Alice is usually one we can rely upon for an issue of Name Game.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Do you know, I'd forgotten about the Name Game, but as soon as you mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, Name Game.
Oh yeah,
get stuck in.
Okay, how about a medical student sets out to recreate his decapitated fiancée by building a new body made out of pieces of a famous SpongeBob SquarePants character, Little Green Feller.
Oh, Plankton Hooker.
Correct. Plankton Hooker. Very good. How about wait, I don't know where I'm going with this. This is really coming off the top of the dome.
Okay.
A medical student sets out to recreate his decapitated fiancée by building her a new body made out of parts of a famous EastEnders character played by Mike Reed.
Frankenbutcher.
Frankenbutcher
Hooker.
Very good. So in an act of spiraling criminality, when a scientist tries to bring back his decapitated girlfriend with various criminal parts, the result is someone who still says, got any money? Got any money? But they're making you do it. They're asking you for money to give you your stolen, kidnapped children back. Who's that?
Ransom Hooker.
Ransom Hooker. Very good.
Mel Gibson.
Gary Sinise's voice. Give me the money.
Wow. I don't know. I can't think.
Alice, I feel like you're on the cusp of having one.
I'm trying to make it work.
On the cusp of greatness.
I can't remember what the preamble is, but a New Jersey medical student. Technically, he's not a medical student, but we won't go into that. He's a failed medical student. But anyway, New Jersey medical student tries to put his decapitated girlfriend back together, but he accidentally uses the 66th president of the United States.
Is it Frankenhooker?
No, it's Benjamin Franklin Hooker.
Oh, Benjamin Franklin
Hooker.
Fantastic.
the lightning theme.
Oh,
know.
that's best
End
one.
on that.
End on that note. Perfect. All we have to do.
Imagine if you did
Ideal.
accidentally use the 66th president of the United States rather than you. Wait, it
Benjamin
can't be the
Franklin.
66th. There's only like 45 presidents.
26th,
Oh, yeah.
maybe?
Sixth president. I
The
said 66.
sixth
Didn't I?
president.
I just believed
Yeah,
you.
in
I
the
went,
future.
oh yeah, 66.
In the future, there's another Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah. Well, we had Grover Cleveland twice, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. It'll come back round.
Sure will.
The
It always
reanimated.
does.
Do you know what? The reanimated hooker corpse of Benjamin Franklin will be the 66th president of the United
Predicted.
What a date.
Pull this episode out of the archives at that time, and it'll be like,
Yeah.
what a strange piece of media to be so prophetic.
Got
Yeah.
it right.
Well, you guys are trendsetters, aren't you? Well, trend adjacent, so
Yeah,
we'll,
trend
it'll
adjacent, so-
happen.
Nailed it. Well done. So, I mean, we're going to rate the movie, but first, let's pose those other questions that we were going to ask and came up throughout the show. So, is Frankenhooker a wonderful piece of feminist media, or is it horrible and misogynist? What are you going for? What's your judgment on this one?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, you.
Go for it, Alice. Go for it.
Okay. I think there is enough in here. I think the intention is there. I think it's tongue in cheek, and I think it is meant to. It is ultimately a story about female empowerment and having control over your own body. And actually, I think it's very fitting that she does to Jeffrey what he has done to her, and his outrage at that is like, this is immoral and stuff. It's like, yeah, but you did it to me, like, you know. But now it's equality. We'll have a lovely relationship, and I still love you. But ultimately, I think there's nothing. Yeah,
I'll accept you, and you accept me. And the fact that there's a scene where, like, the mass murder of loads of sex workers takes place, like, it never once feels like a mean-spirited film, does it? Not even for a second.
Do you know what? Amazingly, it never comes across mean-spirited. It always comes across as tongue-in-cheek and very knowing, and you know. But yeah,
so, yeah,
I don't know. I think there are some elements that maybe not, but also I think some of that's, I'm not sure the 90s was a great time for many people on sets and things, but I think people talk very fondly of Frank Henenlotter, so he seems like an okay guy.
And that's true things are said in jest, and I think that is like, it's done very tongue-in-cheek, but I think there are some actually progressive messages about this movie, certainly more than you would expect if you viewed this on title alone.
Yeah, because I think the fact that I knew it was a Frank Henenlotter film kind of made me have certain expectations for it, but if I didn't know that and I heard it on title alone, I think it builds this idea in your head of what kind of film is going to be, like a B movie with probably some mean-spirited stuff. So the fact it doesn't come across like that is pretty good. I'd recommend it to. I think of Frank Henenlotter's films, I probably would recommend it more so than Basket Case, even though I think Basket Case is great. There's something about this I just really, really enjoy.
Yeah,
I think it's very accessible.
Yeah, it's slightly more accessible, I guess, isn't it, than like Basket Case and Brain Damage.
And it's very much a party film. If you put this on, if you went to see this in a cinema, special screening, or you put it on in a group of people, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, where would you screen this if you could choose your venue for it? Where would you want to screen Frankenhooker? What would be your ideal setting?
The Royal Albert Hall.
During the Royal Variety performance.
We'll just take a break
down, Charles. 85 minutes. We're going to put this on.
In Times Square. Get it in Times Square on some big screens. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. I think it's like any sort of tiny, seedy, little rundown.
You want like 100-seat venue. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be great. How are we gonna rate this on the so from A to F? Pluses and minuses are allowed, of course. Where would you rate Frankenhooker, Alice?
I would put it a B plus. I think it's really fun. I think it's It's fun. There's lots of little cameos. There's lots of little like nudges to other things. It's made with a lot of love, care, and affection, and it is just fun.
Wonderful. Lovely writing.
What are you saying, Andy?
You know what, Ben? We've debated, all the worlds of film and how we rate them and whether we're rating them on the quality of the movie, the influence they have, the skill, the overall spectacle of it, or just how much we enjoy them. And that's what I've always tried to stay true to. So, I love it. It's so much fun. Like, it's such a fun movie. You know what? There's so many movies that are brilliantly made, that are wonderful spectacles, but I'll never watch them again, or I don't need to watch them without several years gap in between.
Yeah.
I was at a loose end tomorrow. I'd put this on again. It's so much fun. I find it delightful. How about you?
So I mean, initially I was gonna go for an A minus.
Have we talked him up or down?
I don't know. I feel maybe I'll sit in the middle, of between the two of you, because I think it's a fair rating. It usually takes quite a lot for me to go into the A territory, but I think this is well worth that. It was such a great time when I first saw it, and this time was just as much fun. And again, yeah, I agree with you. If it was on, say if I was flicking through TV channels, or if someone just went
TV and it was on,
if I was on Nick's TV and Frankenhooker was on, I'd watch it. And I've got to track down this VHS with the talk box as well, because what an addition to the collection. But yeah, it's a great performance. The effects are really good. The script is, as I mentioned, the script before. The script is top notch. So yeah, I'll stick with an A minus for that.
People who are looking around these things, if you've already got Alice, her, Frankenhooker, pin badge or anything, my birthday is in June, everybody, even with international shipping. You've got plenty of time at time of recording. Do get stuck in.
We'll have to have a little look, see what we can find.
Final question, though. We talked about it at the top of the show. We've seen the parallels between this and Poor Things, of course. What do you prefer? What's your favorite? There can be only Highlander style. There can be only one. Which one are you saving?
Oh my God, that's really hard because I really did enjoy Poor Things.
Yeah,
but I think it requires a double bill.
A double bill would be great. Yeah,
there's room for both my children here, but
100%. Yeah, double bill. I mean, the horror fan in me feels like leaning towards Frankenhooker a little bit more, but I did love Poor Things as well. Very, very different experiences, but at the same time, both equally entertaining.
I'm going to be brave. I'm keeping Frankenhooker. That's it.
That's us on the fence.
Get out of here, the fence.
Leaping straight over it. Eat shit, the fence. Brilliant. Okay, that was Frankenhooker. Thanks so much for joining us again, Alice. Where can our listeners find you? You're most welcome. Where can our listeners find you online, if you recommend that?
Mostly these days, if you are interested in D&D, I have a D&D show in Bristol, which is a monthly show, and our Instagram is tales_adventure, and there's lots of like behind the scenes stuff and skits and things on there, which is fun. But yeah, I've binned off Twitter.
See you later, Twitter.
Get on Instagram. Eat shit, Elon. Come on.
Eat shit, Twitter.
I mean, while we're there, Alice, I mean, talk to us a little bit more about this, mostly because I'm interested. If the listeners happen to get this, then that's fine. But like, so when you do Tales of Adventure, is it like an ongoing campaign that you play? Is it a new story?
We're going to change it, actually. So it has been an ongoing campaign, and we've pivoted to more like individual stories each episode. So we have the same characters, but in the next coming shows, we are actually gonna pick a genre each time, like westerns or horror or rom-com, and do a D&D style rom-com or a D&D style horror, and have individual characters and stuff.
That sounds brilliant. And if you could just do me a personal favor, if you could convince the rest of the crew that they probably want to pitch for an Edinburgh Fringe show, it'd be so much more convenient for me to make a live one. Massively inconvenient and very expensive for you, but I'll lend you a spare room if you want to come. I can cut the costs down. That's fine. But yeah,
sounds good.
If you are in the Southwest, everybody, you're not just doing this for my convenience. Get yourselves along. It'll be a lot of fun.
I mean, And in the interim, you can always follow us on Instagram because there's lots of fun stuff on there. So,
Admire from afar. Get those things going. Get an
Admire
Edinburgh
from
Fringe show
afar.
happening.
Amazing. Okay, so thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to our current patrons. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors for more. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Next week it's March already. Can you believe it?
A new
brand
month is
new
upon
lineup.
us.
Indeed. And we've got another special returning guest. Is that true, Andy?
We do indeed. If those of you cast your minds back to when former guest Nico and I had a little visit behind the spooky red door of Insidious, she's back again. She's coming to join us for another horror classic, Scanners.
Scanners. Wow. And a little preview for March. Scanners. We're going to be at Fright Fest Glasgow, live and in
Yes.
person, covering the event. Very exciting. And a couple more guests lined up for the rest of the month, but we will reveal that all in due time. So keep listening.
I mean, February's an extra month, an extra day this year. Everyone, chill out. Got a whole another day of February left.
Chill out. Come on. Thanks, everybody. And thanks again, Alice. See you next time.
bye.
Bye, everybody.
Want a
Bye.
date? Bye.
Got any money?